Cool. Also, I've started the live stream, so everyone in the meet, you must have got this pop-up. Just press on, got it, and don't leave. So yeah, we are good to go though.
All right, all right. Welcome everybody joining us from YouTube and in today's session. We are officially live and we have Farah Hawa with us, who is a cybersecurity enthusiast and she is a bounty hunter as well, and an ethical hacker coming here for today's session on BlueLearn for how to start a career in cybersecurity. As we can see, we have a lot of people who are just starting out in their college days, or we have people from school, high school as well. And this cybersecurity domain is a booming domain in today's times. So Farah, if you could introduce yourself to our members and then get started with the session, that'd be great.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining and thank you for asking everyone where they're from. It was really nice to see that there are people from so many different places. So thank you for joining. And I work in application security and cybersecurity. I work for a company called Background, and apart from that, I have a YouTube channel where I make tutorials about hacking, and I also give some tips about cybersecurity and career in cybersecurity. Then I also have an Instagram page where it's more about cybersecurity awareness. So that's just a little bit about myself before we get started. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen so you can tell me if everything is fine, and then we can begin. Can everyone
Yeah,
see?
it's perfect. Yeah, it's
All
visible.
right. All right. So today we're going to talk about cybersecurity, and I'm also going to introduce you to bug bounties, and we're going to talk a little bit about how bug bounties work and how you can get into it. So it's just going to be a beginner's thing into cybersecurity and bug bounties. So yeah, let me tell you a little bit more about my background. So I'm based out of Bombay in India, and 3 years ago I was pursuing a degree in journalism. I wanted to be a journalist, but then I slowly realized that those questions on a wider platform. And through my YouTube channel and through the portfolio I had created and the exposure I got from my channel, I got my job today at Background. So I've been working here since 1.5 years, and that's basically my journey into cybersecurity. So let me then tell you why cybersecurity is even important for today. So I think these are two news articles. These are about data breaches that happened in these two companies. First is Big Basket, and then we have Domino's. I think these are really household names. I don't really have to tell you about them. And the amount of data that was leaked was a lot. So if you're a customer, there's a huge chance your data has been leaked in these data breaches. For Domino's, there were people's physical addresses leaked, which can be really dangerous if someone's attacking you, if someone's going after you, if someone is stalking you. And these can be different scenarios. For some people, it can be more personal, but some people have a more public persona, which can be even scarier. So this is why cybersecurity is important. This is why data privacy and data security is important. So let's check if if you are one of those people whose data has been leaked. So I want you to go on this website. You can just Google this and you can enter your email over here. So if someone can just write their email in the chat. Okay, I'll wait for okay, I think there's someone here. So we're gonna check. Your data has not been found, so you are safe. We have a few others. Okay, I'm very happy with your cybersecurity awareness, everyone. This is interesting. Usually, it's only 1 or 2 emails, and then someone data has been breached. But this time it took longer. So Domino's was one of also be an important detail for marketers. So what happens with this data is it actually gets sold on the dark web. So someone takes 13 TB of data, which is a lot of data, and then sells it on the dark web to potential buyers, which can be people who are doing it for marketing purposes or for any other purposes. This data is available for sale and it goes for thousands of dollars. So this is the data that leak purchases might not seem big to you, but this data is valuable. And then there's another website which was breached in mid 2019, and a lot more details were leaked here. So there's email addresses and a few other things. There's also passwords over here. Now, what happens when your password is leaked is when you read that's allowed. So someone needs to give you permission to hack them. That can be a company, that can be a person. And ethical hackers think like attackers, but they have the right intentions. So they have the same mindset. They try to break in, but they have the right intentions. They don't want to. They want to tell you about it so you can fix those bugs before and a hacker can actually come and exploit it. And then organizations need ethical hackers to secure themselves. Um, so organizations hire these people so that they can secure themselves against these kind of attacks and not have these data breaches. So now we have different types of hackers. We have black hats that use their skills to leak data and sell data, and they use it for illegal purposes. Then we have white hats who do it for good reasons, who tell the company, and they can earn too. Then we have gray hats who kind of do both. They use their skills sometimes for good reasons, and sometimes they do some illegal things with it. Basically, they have the skills. And then we have suicide hackers who do it to bring down some cause. And this is very similar to state-sponsored hackers and hacktivists. Actually, cyber terrorists and hacktivists, because these are all motivated by something that's not money. They know they can bring down infrastructure. They know they can bring down certain things. So, for example, there was this huge not internet, but electricity outage in Bombay, which was apparently organized by state-sponsored hackers from some country. So this is what it is. It's not based around money. It's more about a cause. And then we have script kiddies who are kind of unskilled, who are just probably beginners and learners in this space. So everybody has a script kiddie phase. So these are the types of hackers that we have. But now I want to tell you about bug bounties and more about bug bounties. So if someone hasn't heard of bug bounties, it's basically you finding a bug and you reporting it, and then you get a reward in return for reporting that bug. Now the reward depends upon a few factors, like how easy that bug is to be found or to reproduce in a website, or what impact does it have. Does it affect the customers? Does it affect the company? Does it affect their servers? What does it affect, and to what degree? So these are the factors that your bounty will be based around. And you have a few bug bounty platforms that have a lot of these programs. So we're just going to look at one of these programs to see what a bug bounty program actually looks like. So we're going to go to Bugcrowd. This is also the company I work for. So I think everyone has heard of Canva. It's a very common name, at least among college students. So on Canva, you can hunt and you can find bugs in their website or in their assets, and you can report it to them and they will reward you. Now, you have a few guidelines over here that you need to follow. There are certain rules around it because Canva is essentially telling you to come and hack them and they'll pay you for it. But there has to be certain rules around this. And there are also certain laws. So if you follow those rules, Canva is going to protect you against those laws and ensure that nothing happens to you legality wise. So this is the scope that you need to follow. So their Android app, their iOS app, they have a Chrome extension, and they have a few websites. Now Canva is making acquisitions constantly. They're acquiring new things, and they have new websites that they own. But those are not in scope for this program. In scope for this, they only want Canva's assets to be hacked. And then for different programs, they'll have different scopes, because this is again something to do with how this works legally. And here they mentioned that this is from out of scope. So a few details about what is out of scope. Like they don't want certain types of bugs reported. They probably already know about it. They're working on it, or they're just not interested in it. So there was a bug that was really interesting. It enabled Canva Pro without a current Canva Pro subscription, and this is a bug in Canva. So you can use Canva Pro without having the subscription. And there's a way to do it, but this is out of scope because they already know about it. But they are not planning to fix it right now, and they have written it in their out of scope section. And by the way, this is a public program, so you can just go to this website and you will be able to see it. There's no you don't have to really sign up or anything. I'm on incognito mode. And these are known issues. There are also certain third-party providers. So every website uses a bunch of third parties for some services, like for a support portal, or there can be any other reason. So these third-party providers are not in scope. These are the laws. So there's Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, some Copyright Act, and some other terms and conditions. So they will in according to this, or you will be exempt from any kind of claim against this. Okay, So this is what a bug bounty program looks like. And bug bounty can also translate into jobs. So bug bounty helps you showcase your technical skills. When you hack on these programs, they sharpen your technical skills. They also show your technical skills to the company. I've seen a lot of people in the industry doing really well on one program and then getting hired by them as their security engineer. So this is the way it can translate into jobs. Even for me, my journey started with bug bounty, and that's how I am here. So it also helps you learn skills like pen testing, report writing. There are jobs where you have to pen test, or there are jobs where you have to technical write or report write, and bug bounties can help you learn those skills. So there's also this concept of leaderboard. So if you go for, so this is HackerOne, which is another bug bounty platform, and here they have a leaderboard. So they have certain top hunters on their platform. If you go to their profile, you'll be able to see the list of companies they've hacked on. So if you go here, I'm sure you might see a few familiar names. We have PlayStation, TikTok, Airbnb, PayPal, Marriott. So these are all these are all really household names. Everyone knows about them. They hire constantly. So if you've done well on their program, there's a chance that it can translate into a job for you. Or even if it doesn't, a potential employer would know that you're a good hacker by just looking at your bug bounty portfolio like this. You can also attach a few other profiles, and this just one way of all right. So there are also ways that you can find these bug bounty programs on Google. So if you don't want to go through a platform, because there are top hunters, there are top researchers on these platforms, and these programs are public, like I said, and they're open for everyone. So there are also ways to find smaller programs, smaller startups which aren't on these platforms. And I believe that these hackers do not hunt on those programs, because sometimes those programs don't pay. They only give you like a hall of fame on their website, or they give you some kind of swag, which is like basically merch that they have. So you can find programs through these kind of Google Docs. We'll get to what Google Docs is later. Now I'm just going to show you. We'll just open this link. So Google Docking are like filters for Google. They discover target specific information, and we have certain examples that we look at later. But Google Docking is basically like you finding information, or you finding certain words in certain websites and just using a different way to search. So if I want to look for programs, this is a Google Doc that I'm going to use. So for example, I'm looking for results that have these words in their in URL. So responsible disclosure and reward. Or if I want, I can change it to Hall of Fame. So you have certain websites that have come up over here. And if you open link, this is their Hall of Fame. These are the kind of people that have hacked on their program. And then there are also certain rules to be followed here. So similar to how programs worked on Bugcrowd and HackerOne, where you have certain rules, out of scope things, in scope, and they also have payments over here. So we have different priorities. So we have P1, P2, P3. These are priorities. If a bug is P1, which means it's critical, something they have to fix immediately, something that is dangerous, then that can get a reward of anything between $4,500 to $10,000, which is a lot. And there are programs that are smaller than this. So not every program is going to be high paying. Some have their maximum reward as $5,000 or $2,000, but it's still because there's a difference between dollar and rupee, it just translates to a lot more money here. And if you get a bounty of say $500 throughout the month, which is pretty easy to get even for smaller programs, you're still earning 30,000 a month, which is good. And this is also something you can do on the side of your job. You don't even have to make it like your full-time job. I would actually suggest people to not do this full-time. But yeah, you can use this to get a job. So like people have got their Hall of Fames here, and they also have attached their LinkedIn and Twitter profiles here. Cool. So before you start hunting on a program, now you might wonder that we know all these rules, but then how do we actually start hunting? So before you start hunting, you also always need to do something called Recon, which means reconnaissance, which is getting to know more about your target and just enumerating information about it. Just going through different subdomains that they have. So when we went to Canva's program, you can see this asterisk over here, which means that any subdomain of canva.com is in scope. So anything.canva.com would be in scope for this program. Um, and you can find more information by doing Google Docking, by enumerating subdomains, like I said, and you getting to know more about the technological stack that a website uses. So we'll see how we can do all of these things. And first, let me explain to you what these subdomains even mean. So you have a root domain, which is Yahoo, and then we have .com, which is always a top level domain. This can be .org. So these are top level domains, and then you have subdomains. So in this case, it's www, but you can have 500 levels of subdomains. So this is a domain which has 4 levels, but similarly, you can have up to 500 levels of domains. And I'll explain to you why you need subdomain enumeration, because finding domains and finding subdomains increases your chances of finding vulnerabilities. You have a bigger attack surface, you have more chance of finding bugs. There are also hidden or forgotten applications sometimes. So when you find more subdomains, you might just get upon one of these and you might find vulnerabilities that are easier to find and you might have not found in the main application. And sometimes same vulnerabilities show up across different domains. Websites use very similar technology sometimes, and just a small change of code and majority chunk of their code used is similar. So same vulnerabilities can show up across different domains. So there are certain tools that you can use to find domains. So you have subdomain finder, and then we will just go on these websites and see how we can perform this. So if you go to this website and if you just type canva.com and you can start scan, and you'll see that there are all these subdomains of canva.com. Now, some of these might not be active, some of these may be active, but you can just go on any of those and see what they're about and start hunting on them. So there's also a similar website called crt.sh. And then if you're familiar with how command line works, there's also a command line tool called sublister, which you can find on GitHub. So Google Docking is also a pretty simple way of doing recon, I think, because you can get Google and you can, I mean, I don't think you need a lot of setup for that. So if you can use the subdoc to find subdomains of spotify.com like this, but you can also go up to different levels. So there's a second level domain, third level domain, and you can also remove certain results if something is out of scope by using the minus sign. You can also look for some sensitive files, like you can use ext to find certain extensions like PDF, docx, pptx, and these are also some sensitive file extensions, like these are backups, configuration files, logs. And you can also use the in-text doc to see something that's in the text, so confidential, internal use. If these documents are available on the internet and anyone can access them, you can submit this as a bug bounty report, because organizations might not want these to be available to the public, and sometimes Google just indexes these files and shows it on their search results. And when you mix them all up, you can actually find more rare results. So you can use 4 or 5 docs together and get more creative with them. So you can find some more obscure findings, because Google search results can be huge, and the more you filter them out, the more creative and the more different results you're going to get. So then I mentioned something about tech stack fingerprinting. So this basically means finding out the technology in a website and just finding out what third parties they're using. So this is something, it's a browser extension, and you can just click on the browser extension, and this I think was for canva.com. So canva.com uses these kind of third parties for their analytics. They have a different one for a different framework for JavaScript. The payment processor is Stripe, and things like these you can find out. But what do we even do with this information? So there's something, this is a concept called CVE hunting. When you discover what kind of technology is used in a website, you can find out public exploits for that. So there are people hunting on JavaScript frameworks, and if a bug is found in a JavaScript framework, then you can you can find those bugs on all websites that use that kind of JavaScript framework, which in this case was React. So you can find public exploits because when a bug is found in a JavaScript framework, they have to put out they had to put out a warning, or you can say something like uh, telling their clients to update their systems to fix that bug, uh, and they have to release an update for that. So these are certain websites you can use to find public exploits. We have Google search, for example. If I go and if I look for Java exploits on Google, I'll get these websites. And okay, let's not look for Java. Oh, actually, let me tell you about Log4j, which was a really dangerous bug found in Java just this year. So when that bug was released by Java, and they told their customers to fix it, there was a huge rush, and cybersecurity blue teamers who fixed these bugs had to kind of stay up and fix their systems for a week, because this was something that was used very commonly. And a lot of bug bounty hunters also capitalized on that and reported it and made some money from that. So CVE hunting is also a way to do this. Now you can read disclosed bugs for inspiration. A lot of people, when they get bugs, when they get bounties, they put up write-ups, and they tell people about how they got it and some technical details about it, so you can read. So for example, someone could view the country of a private Instagram user, someone got $1 million bounty. So they write a blog about it, and these are known as write-ups. So where can you find these write-ups? There's a website called pentester.land. And I think, yeah, you can see bug bounty write-ups that were published all the way from 2011 to 2022. And these are all different kinds of bugs, different kinds of platforms. It's all just a compilation, which can be really useful to read. And you also have disclosed bugs on HackerOne. So if you go to Hacktivity, yeah, these are some disclosed bugs. So and you can also see how much they were paid. So TikTok recently paid $3,000 for a bug that was found, which was disclosed 7 days ago. So these are ways to read write-ups. This was actually a $29,000 bounty because it was very critical. Out of 10, it was rated 9.6. So they got paid $29,000. And yeah, you can read technical details about it here. So this is another place you can find these kind of write-ups. Now I also want to give some book recommendations. There's this book called Bug Bounty Bootcamp, which basically tells you about how bug bounty works. Some things that I covered today, like how programs work, how some of the legalities are behind it. So it gives you a guide to that. It shows you some basic bugs, and then it tells you how you can write a report, show impact. So everything that you need to know about bug bounties kind of can be learned from this book. There's also another book called Real World Bug Hunting. So we saw this. We saw Hacktivity and how those reports were. So real world bug hunting takes some of those reports and explains it, explains different bug types using bug reports from HackerOne. So these are real life bugs that people have found in the past. And there are also some online resources that I want to share. We have portsfigure.net, and I can share these links later if you want. If someone can get in touch with me, I'll share these links with them. So portsfigure.net, then we have Try Hack Me, which gives you labs so you can actually hands-on practice some of these, find bugs. There are vulnerable websites like hacker101.com. They are intentionally made vulnerable so you can practice and you can hack on them. So these are some online resources you can use to learn. There are also some YouTube channels. We have Insider PhD, who again talks a lot about bug bounty, finding some of your first bugs, how people get started. There is also my channel. I have to self-plug a little, so please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then there's also Naham Seg. He interviews a lot of top hackers on different platforms. And we have Stoke, who gives a lot of tips about bug bounty. He's kind of good with content creation in this space. So all of these people are some of I recommend you should follow. So I think we're coming to an end. I want to kind of end by giving you some tips about how you can keep your password strong. Use a password manager. So do not, like I said before, do not reuse passwords. And you can't reuse passwords if you can't choose them. Use a password manager. It helps you to choose your passwords. It helps you to manage all your passwords. If you use an iOS device, then the keychain on Apple is pretty trustworthy. Otherwise, there are some options like one password, last pass that you can use. And don't use the same password everywhere. At least try to keep your email, bank passwords different from everything else. And keep your passwords random and unpredictable. Don't keep passwords with information that's publicly available. So no birthdays, no pets' names, and no friends' names. And this also applies to security questions because a lot of people know which lane you grew up in your childhood. And always add two-factor authentication. Always add two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication, because this adds an extra layer. So even if someone gets your password, if the password is leaked, you have an additional layer of security in case your password is leaked somewhere. And what you should do if your bank or your social media is hacked. So contact the authorities. There's a website called cybercrime.gov.in. There's also a helpline now, 1930. So if something happens, you can call, you can get in touch with them. You should also call your bank. You should keep your bank's toll-free number saved on your phone, because a lot of the times you might lose your debit card where the number is written. And when you try to Google the numbers, a lot of scammers set up their numbers as HDFC Bank or Axis Bank. And if you call those numbers, you're actually getting in touch with a scammer. So please get your bank's toll-free number from your debit card or from somewhere and keep it saved on your phone in case of an emergency where you need it. And use online banking features. So get familiar with how features work on your online banking. Get in touch. Get familiar with how you can block access to a card or limit something. Just don't wait until an emergency happens to do that. And change your password. Set a strong password before changing your password. Remove any logged in devices that you might have. This is something you should do if something gets hacked. Yeah, so I think that was it. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, a lot of questions coming in. Thank you so much for this presentation. It was wonderful. A lot of insights on cybersecurity and how can we protect ourselves on the internet. We have a lot of questions, different questions coming in. First of all, the session is recorded. It's live on our YouTube channel right now. So you can type BlueLearn on YouTube and you can find the recording there after the session is over. All the links provided on the presentation will be available on our Discord. Farah will be providing us the links and then we could put it up on our Discord under the cybersecurity channel we have. And our Discord is put up in the chat box. So you can head on there in the cybersecurity section. We'll pin the links and you can find it there. It'll be available on the YouTube description as well. That's the two things I wanted to clarify first. And then we have a few questions. When did you get into cybersecurity? What year was it in your college, maybe?
So it was in 2019. I was, I think, in the second year of my college, and I started by doing a course. Like I said, that same place, it was an ethical hacking institute in Bombay itself, and they had clients as well who they were doing services for. So they said that if you work after your course for 3 months on their clients, they will give you an internship certificate. So that was my first internship. My second internship was around my second year, and then after that, there was a little bit of break where I mentioned I did bug bounties and YouTube, and then I got my full-time job in cybersecurity.
All right, I have one question. You mentioned you wouldn't recommend anybody to pursue this as a full-time job. Why is that so?
I would so let me clarify that this is about bug bounty specifically. It's good to do when you start out your journey. It's really good for that. But I would recommend getting a job just because this can be you are your own boss, so it can get a little bit frustrating. Bug bounties can also be really frustrating because sometimes the customer might choose to not accept your bug or they might not see value in it. So just as a security from that, don't hunt on it full time and don't make it full time. You can start with it, you can build a good portfolio and get a job, and then do this as a side hustle to keep yourself technically active and just get some cash along the way. So you can do it full time after you have some experience in it already, and you can make more with it and you can sustain that kind of lifestyle.
Got it. We have one repeated question, that is, can ethical hacking be learned without learning how to code?
Yeah, so I did not learn how to code, but you can I would recommend learning JavaScript and PHP. So you don't have to code, but you need to understand how to read code. And if you have to code something, it's usually going to be something like scripts. So you don't have to make full-fledged apps, full-fledged websites. That's not the extent you have to code. It might just be to automate some tasks. You can also, of course, hack without that. But it's just it helps when you understand how what code looks like and you understand what happens behind a website.
Right. If I could request you to stop sharing so that like people can, you were lagging a bit, and then if the stop, yeah, this is perfect. Okay. The next question is, what's a job as a cybersecurity engineer look like? Like, what's a typical day in a cybersecurity?
I think it's different. There are different profiles in cybersecurity engineer. So sometimes it might just be to look for bugs in websites that the company owns. Sometimes it might be securing their physical devices. There are also jobs where you have to just protect the company's assets, which include their devices. So you have to make sure no employee's device is getting hacked. You need to keep your eyes on logs, and you need to monitor that kind of stuff. So that's more of the protecting and blue team, which is more so defensive security. Then you also have offensive security, which is hacking. Bug bounty comes under offensive security, finding bugs in the company's website. So that kind of stuff, a little bit of both is what a typical cybersecurity engineer working in, say, Canva would do.
Right. I hope that answered Nesha's question. If I would like follow up with this question, does Mr. Robot, if you have watched the series, does it like showcase cybersecurity engineers well? If you have watched it.
Uh, I've watched a few episodes. I mean, I think it kind of glamorizes it, but it is a little bit like that. It's not that when hacks happen, it's as dramatic as that, but you do kind of have to be up on your feet and check what's happening.
Right. The next question is by Arvind. What's your take on VPN, verified proxy network?
I think VPNs are good to use. You can, if you're using a public network, it's good to be on a VPN because on a public network, it's kind of open. Everyone else is on that network, and having a VPN gives you a private connection. So that's what I use VPN for. Sometimes, if you work for a company, they'll give you a VPN, so you are in their network. Um, yeah.
Right. Okay, there's one more question coming in. Where should I be starting? I'm interested in cybersecurity and bug bounty. I'm in my first semester of engineering. What would be the roadmap for me here in this domain?
I think every roadmap is different. You can, your roadmap could literally just be starting bug bounties, writing a blog, or it could be getting a certification and entering through that way. Um, so it kind of depends on that. If you're doing a degree, you might get in through your college. So different different pathways for everyone. For me, it was more so doing bug bounty, building a portfolio, and then getting a job.
All right. There's one repeated question. Are vulnerabilityhub.com VM safe for practicing hacking on them?
I don't think I've heard of that website, so I'm not too sure. But there are a lot of places where you don't need to really download a VM to hack on it. So I would recommend just not doing that in general. Um, yeah, or if you want to do it on a VM. So do it on a Kali Linux, or just get another virtual machine and download that on a VM. Yeah.
All right. This question is from Anirudh. If one is hacked, can the hacker be traced? For example, if your Instagram account gets hacked, there are ways to retrieve it, obviously, but are there ways to trace the hacker?
I think it is, there are ways, but it depends on how. I mean, I don't, it can be really hard to do it, if, especially if the person is in a different country, then there are different kinds of laws involved. So it's possible, but doing that would be a lot of effort. So it would have to be something big. Like if you can get your account back, and if that's the end of the matter, uh, you're probably not going to know who has hacked your account.
Right. The next question is from Aaron. So regarding cybersecurity internships, can you list some things that recruiters look for, like any certification, or are there any other requirements for freshers?
Yeah, so there are two certifications that would be good. There's OSCP and there is Security Plus by INE. So these are good certifications that have good amount of hands-on experience, and these are also really appreciated by recruiters. You can start with these. They can be a little bit expensive, and it does require a lot of commitment. But if you want to really learn and get started, OSCP and Security Plus both are great.
Alrighty. If there's anyone who wants to ask their question maybe on voice, you can raise your hand. I'll get you on here. It can get difficult typing out a question and expressing yourself. So if you want to speak it out, you're free to do so. Raise your hand and I'll get you on board. All right, we have Sesh. All right, we'll let him ask a question.
Hello. Am
Yes,
I audible?
Sesh. Yes, audible.
Yeah. So actually, I wanted to ask, as you have done a course and everything at the beginning to learn cybersecurity and bug bounty hunting, what if a person who wants to learn everything for free? Is there a hack to this?
Yeah, I think a lot of people can learn for free. Like I mentioned, you have write-ups. There are ways to just get started and do bug bounties. Because in bug bounties, nobody's going to ask you which certification you have. If you can hack and if you can learn, if you can find bugs, then that's pretty simple. You need to have a basic understanding of how networking works, a little bit of Linux, and a little bit of how websites work. So it's definitely possible to learn it on your own. There are also lots of books about it.
Right. I hope that answers Sash's question. If there's any more questions, we'll be taking them for the last 1 minute, and then we can wrap up today's session. You can watch the recording again on our YouTube channel if you missed out on any point, or if you want to revise on the links. We'll be posting them on our Discord channel under the cybersecurity section, and you can find them there. If there are any more questions, you can put them in the chat box, and I'll be able to ask Farah. All right, I'm interested in coding. What type of cybersecurity role should I prepare for? A very vague question, though.
You're interested in coding. So if I'm assuming you're asking for jobs in cybersecurity that require coding, so you can definitely become a pen tester. You can write your own scripts. You can automate finding bugs. So you can do that. You can also get into software security engineering or DevSecOps, which is something that integrates with development. So if you're interested in web development coding, you can also get into secure coding in that sense. So there are all DevSecOps is something that's an upcoming industry, which is like development, security, operations, and integrates all three of them under the same process. So if you have two of those skills, it really helps. So these are kind of roles that you can prepare for.
Right. Okay, this question will be a very common question asked to you generally. What is the salary of an ideal cybersecurity engineer?
Okay, so this depends on whether you get a job here or not. Not in India, I think uh, anywhere around, if you get into a corporate or if you get into an enterprise type of company, then you can get around 50,000 to 70,000, depending on how many certifications you have, how much experience you have. Even if you're a fresher, I think 40 to 50,000 is pretty standard for India. But a lot of Indians, what they do is they get hired by companies that are in US. So then they get paid a little bit differently, a little bit higher than Indian companies. But that again depends, and some it's still a little bit less than US salaries because of the location, but it's way higher than Indian salaries.
Right. The last question for the day. We'll wrap the session up. Do you know anything about the cybersecurity future?
I think it's still in its initial stages now. There are a few Web3 apps that you can hack on. There isn't that much available right now because it's still in its in its starting stage. I am waiting until it catches a little bit more on to learn it. So I don't really know anything about it technically, but basically you have 7 layers of your operating system that will always remain the same. So the way you connect to the internet is not going to change, and then there are always bugs to be found. It's just going to be a matter of just adapting and learning a different technology.
Right. All right. Thank you so much for answering the questions. We will end the session now. Thank you so much for the lovely insight on cybersecurity. I hope people can start their journey in cybersecurity from today onwards. And we have an exciting session taken by Sesh tomorrow as well. It'll be a hands-on experience in cybersecurity taken by Sesh tomorrow. And if the audience is interested, you could join there as well. Thank you so much, Farah, for coming in. Make sure, guys, to go and follow her on all her social media handles. She's there on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube as well. And you can go subscribe to her channel, and that'll be amazing. Mention that you're coming in from BlueLearn. That will show that you were there for the session, right? And we'll wrap up today's session. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Yash, we can go offline and off stream.
Sure. Thanks for once again. It was really wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so